So you have a class observation coming up. As an early childhood consultant and certified class observer, I'm here to put you at ease and give you an overview of what to expect. CLASS stands for Classroom Assessment Scoring System. It's designed to measure the quality of interactions in the classroom, mostly interactions between children and teachers. However, interactions between children and children are sometimes taken into consideration also. There are slightly different things that observers are looking for depending on the age of the children in the classroom. There are 3 different class observation tools that an observer could be using in a preschool classroom: the pre-K observation tool, the toddler observation tool, and the infant observation tool. The pre-K tool is designed to be used with children 3 through pre-K age. The toddler tool is designed to be used with children 15 months to 36 months, and the infant tool designed to be used with children younger. So your classroom may be a mixed age group, which is many preschool classrooms. In that case, usually the observer will use the tool that has the majority of the aged children in that group. So if your classroom has mostly 2-year-olds, 24-month-olds, and maybe they have a couple of 6-month-olds, they're going to use the toddler tool usually. However, sometimes different regulations are used. So if you're curious, I would ask the observer coming into your classroom which tool they will be using that day. So there are different reasons why an observation may be scheduled in your center. Many states have programs that they're working on to improve the quality of care being provided in preschools. And a lot of those programs are using the class observation to measure where quality currently is. Some programs will use class observations just to see areas of strengths in their teachers and areas of growth with their teachers. The class observation tool is also used in research a lot, so that researchers can find out new things about children and teachers. So I would advise asking your director why an observation is taking place if you're wondering why. And then the results of those class observations are also used for lots of different reasons. Sometimes those scores are tied to state funding, so the center may receive more or less depending on the score, but they are not always tied to state funding. So if you're curious what the results will be used for, again, ask your center director about that. So what you should expect during your classroom observation. Let's go over some of that. So an observation will usually take between 2 and 4 hours, and that just depends. What is going to happen is the observer is going to watch your classroom for 15 to 20 minutes. They will then take a break and they will assign scores for about 10 minutes. And then they'll repeat that process of watching your classroom, then scoring your classroom 4 to 6 times. And that depends on the project and why they're there. So it will take between 2 to 4 hours. Now, I want you to keep in mind that the observer is there to watch everything that happens in the classroom. They're not going to just watch times of the day that you have a structured activity planned. They're going to be watching everything. They're going to be watching washing hands and feeding the children and giving bottles and lining up to go to the playground, all those times during the day. So just keep that in mind. I do want you to take note that if they're using the pre-K tool, and that's with 3-year-olds and up, that they most likely will not be watching recess time. However, if they're using the infant or the toddler tool, they will be watching outside time and recess time. And also keep in mind that they will also be watching, like going for walks or stroller rides, all of that. So just be prepared and aware that they will be following you around throughout the day. They will also be watching the transition into nap time, so keep that in mind too. If all of the children are asleep, they will stop observing at that point. However, as long as some of the children are still awake, they may still be watching. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now you have an overview of class. I want to give you some little tips to make you feel more comfortable the day that your observer comes. So first, I want you to be aware that for the infant and toddler tools, that observer may come at any point during the day. They may not necessarily come in the morning. They could also come in the afternoon. So just keep that in mind. Most of the time for the pre-K tool, and that's 3 years old and up, they'll come in the morning. Not always, but usually they're going to be coming in the morning for those. So if the day of, if possible, go ahead and greet your observer when they walk into your classroom. It's okay if you can't because you're in the middle of giving a bottle or you're in the middle of helping a child, and the observer will understand that. However, if you are available, go ahead and introduce yourself. The observer may want to ask you some questions. They may ask you how to spell your name, or they may ask you the age of the children in your classroom, or they may ask you something about your class schedule. So use that time to talk with them about those things. It would be nice if the observer had a place to put their bag or their belongings. So go ahead and show them where they're allowed to put their things. They may ask you where a bathroom is. Tell them where the bathroom is. It may also be helpful for the observer to have a chair that they can use throughout the day. So go ahead and tell them what chair they're allowed to use. So that's something to keep in mind. I do want you to keep in mind that the observer may not participate in small talk with you. And that has nothing to do with you. There are rules sometimes that say that the observer is not allowed to converse in small talk. So don't take that personally. They just may not be allowed. They may also not be allowed to talk to you throughout the observation. So if it seems like they're ignoring you, please do not take that personally, and please do not think that they're giving you lower scores because of that. That's not true. That's just the rules that they're trying to follow. So something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that the observer may not be smiling at all throughout the observation. And again, I do not want you to take that personally or think that they're giving you lower scores because of that. Observers are just trained to have a neutral look on their face. So don't take that either way. They're just there to look and be neutral, fly on the wall, see everything that's happening. And then I want you guys to keep in mind to just go about your daily schedule. Please do not rearrange your schedule because the observer is there. They shouldn't ask you to do that, and you shouldn't do that. Just go about what you normally do. They're there to see your normal everyday day. And then I also want you to keep in mind that the observer may not be allowed to give you immediate feedback after the observation. Again, that's nothing personal, that's nothing against you, that's just the rules they're following. So please don't take that personally. They just may not be able to talk with you right after. Well, it has been a joy telling you about class and giving you a little overview. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I love helping educators improve quality of care. So any questions that you have, you can email me at rebecca@preschoolquality.com. Good luck with your upcoming observation.